Hello, everybody. Welcome to 1620, the podcast central here on Blanchard Street, where today, martial arts and survival in the woods and the jungles of our city is the main attraction. And the action is with our friend Darcy from L.O.S Strategies. But first, let's introduce the crew. Over there on the left of me is the director and creative director of the show, Jeremiah G. Righteous Johnson, the man, the myth, the legend. Men respect him because he speaks his mind, and the ladies love him because he takes his time. Saluting me over there. Robin Unger is our producer, the guy making all the sounds and the bells and the whistles and making us, even me, look attractive. And Kit, the commish Warren, sitting off to the side here. He is the man who visualizes all of this greatness that happens at 1620. Today we have a very special guest on the High Noon Show. This is Darcy from Last One Strategy, and he's going to teach us about being able to survive in the wilderness, the jungles, the deserts, the cities, the townships, the countrysides, and he's going to give us some of the best information on staying alive. So this fits in with our health, sex, and longevity show. Welcome to the High Noon Show. This is a 1620 podcast, Darcy.
What's up, guys? Darcy from Last One Strategy. Stoked to be here with my friend Kit Warren and Ken Himes. So we're going to talk a little bit about what made up the idea that came with Last One Standing Strategy.
Yeah, what did?
What kind of things happened in my life? What kind of things have I done to kind of produce this system, this idea, this kind of evolving live system? A little bit about myself is I've been a martial artist, let's say in a dojo for the last 12 years or so. I've actually been going to a gym. Prior to that, a lot of it was just kind of, living life experience, punching, kicking, smashing. A little bit here and there. Once I got into sport game, a little bit here and there, I started picking up some traditional stuff. And for me, that's what really evolved into my martial arts spectrum. I started seeing things through a traditional lens and yet still training them like a sport. That in itself gave me kind of an edge as far as learning, even though I suffer from all kinds of things like learning disabilities. I was able to still really focus, study, and then train exactly what it was I needed to know in order to become a better survivalist.
What are some of those styles of martial arts that you did appreciate back in the day, and what you're doing now? Is like a Taekwondo thing? I mean, you've tried several different styles, I'm assured.
Yeah, I've done... Let me start. Well, when I was really young, I wanted to be a ninja.
Nice, like most young
most
guys.
boys, yeah.
Right? You were born in the 80s, fucking ninja.
Cowboy.
So, yeah, exactly. The same kind of idea. We were just this roving cat. And, there was no study for it. There was nobody teaching it. So what I started doing is I started going to the library and taking books out on whatever they had, which was usually karate, judo, and boxing.
Yep.
And whenever I got myself into a fight, because I got in lots of fights, I would try out something that was in the book.
And it worked.
It worked all the time, like against another child in a fucking schoolyard. Yeah. It's like no competition.
You became the ninja.
Holy shit, he put his hands up. It's just like next level. So that really kind of got me thinking. Life went on, hardship happened. I had to develop a harder skin and a different kind of clarity. A different way of analyzing situations to keep myself safe.
Like a physical hardship or mental?
A whole bunch, man. Like, it's kind of amazing. Like, I kind of went up and down through stuff that some kids have to deal with, like night terrors.
Yeah, and this is challenges that everybody's facing, and we're hearing this a lot. And so you coped with it by becoming a ninja?
It's kind of funny how it all happened. That's a whole nother long story, how I beat the demon. But with my martial arts, I used a lot of the energy that I developed in my younger years of pushing through.
Yep.
And I used that energy to grind night after night, studying no matter where I was, in what country I was in what weather I was in. I would just go do the thing that had to be done.
So better your practice, and you're saying you go do it. You weren't trying to do it. You actually took the steps to either learn the practice or go through the motions of getting better.
Yeah, the trying was definitely not a part of it. There was definitely failure at different points, but the failures were just steps to the success. I had to fail in order to learn.
Yeah.
You go out there with your knife and you decide you want to learn how to sleep out here. All of a sudden, we have to look at, well, what are our needs? And if you can't break down that simple structure of what the needs are, you won't even have any idea of how to meet them.
So in doing that, you weren't alone in this process. You had some teachers. You had some older fellas that maybe taught you techniques or how to overcome these challenges. So you're talking about the different arts that you started with, and ninja being one of them.
Yeah.
What else?
What else?
Well, you know, it's funny, the ninjutsu stuff. Again, most of what we were taught in the 80s was through movies. You know, there wasn't a lot of guys out there teaching ninjutsu outside of the Bujinkan. And the Bujinkan style of ninjutsu is basically what they call taijutsu. It's no weapons, a lot of really strange movement based on people who would have been utilizing spears or wearing 70 pounds of armor. And then we were taught that was ninjutsu, and the guys wearing fucking pajamas.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which isn't ninjutsu.
Yeah.
I mean, a Boy Scout manual will teach you more ninjutsu than that. And so I had no idea, but I started going to Boy Scouts.
Okay.
I wanted to learn skills. So I was a Boy Scout until I think I was 11, and then did the typical preteen thing.
What's the Boy Scout mantra? Always be prepared or something?
Always, man. Always be prepared. And it doesn't have to be like, people think of preparedness as like some sort of paranoia. You know, they're like, oh.
Hypervigilance.
Yeah, exactly. Where reality, it's not. It's something as simple as awareness.
Yes.
You know, which is one of the first things we usually teach in survival, is awareness. Something simple you can do all day long while you're in your house, either washing dishes or vacuuming, or you're shaking people's hands on the street. There's a level of awareness that can change everything else you do if you start to learn how to unpack the idea.
So awareness in present time.
Yeah, awareness
so
in everything.
Basically in the moment.
If I put my hand on my face, I have to be aware of, is it fucking clean? There's coronavirus around here.
Yeah.
I have to actually think of these kinds of things, right?
Yep.
So I mean, it's if I'm in another country and I'm in a neighborhood where they don't see a lot of white folk, like fucking ever.
Yeah.
I have to be aware of, am I being followed?
Yes.
Do I have people eyeballing me, breaking down my body posture and what I'm wearing?
So now you're talking about tactical defense in senses. So sensing the surroundings, because you're going into some dangerous situations based on perceptions of white people around the world with their war-mongering leaders.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not even just that. It's like, let's say I'm in the woods. I'm using another level of that. Let's say the first perception I mentioned was more of an urban awareness.
Yep.
Whereas I'm in the woods, I'm listening to the birds. I'm listening to the noises that they're making. Are they making the kind of call that is warning that there's a hawk? Are they just getting quiet all together all at once, which we might call like a hall of silence?
So most people in the city would just hear that as singing birds.
Yeah, it's almost like a native thing.
Well, he's going
It's the
into
natives here.
he's going into perception.
They are singing birds, but there's
and tracking.
Yeah, exactly. There's a thing. So like I was up in Campbell River a week ago. Me and my girlfriend took my mom's dog out. We're on the beach. I just finished shooting a video, cutting up a deer leg that we had found, harvesting the tendons to make sinew cordage.
No, just a minute. You found the deer. Most people wouldn't just find something.
I know, but let me skip ahead.
You know how to look for these.
Yeah,
things.
exactly.
We want to put a disclaimer on this show. I don't want these guys suing my ass off.
Yeah, so this deer, I finished making the video of the deer.
Yeah.
The dog was tied up over kind of by a tree. Now, I just finished making the video, and then I hear a robin give a spring call on a winter day. Ooh. Now, that in itself can be a very good indicator that you have something close that could be dangerous to that bird or other birds. They have like these alarm calls.
Yep.
They have these baseline calls, just like fucking humans. We have baseline. We have
conversation.
alert.
You're talking to the birds.
Exactly. In a way, you're listening to them, right? You're listening to what they're getting into. So he busts out this alarm call, And I say to my girlfriend, I was like, oh, that's weird. That's like an alarm call right now. And then I look over. Just as I'm looking over, there's a huge fucking eagle. A big immature eagle landing in a tree about 15 feet from my mom's dog.
Yeah.
It's the size of a fucking hamster.
Yeah.
You know, like that could have been it.
Coming in for the.
I wouldn't have heard
in for
that.
the kill.
I wouldn't have even been paying attention to that.
But
it was the bird.
because you knew the sounds and your perception and your reality is to tune into these things, where did you get this from? Who taught you this? A lot of people need to learn these things.
Man, a lot of people need to learn these things.
Basically, it's like shutting up and just actually using your senses, because we always overtalk. We always think we know what's going on, and you put yourself in a place where you need to listen, to be aware of the dangers, and to listen to the animals, and to listen to the water, and the time of the seasons. It's just like almost like a native practice, you know.
Well, it comes back to that awareness, you know, like you want to tune in. They say you want to tune in to tune out. And there's a lot of truth to that. So I walk into the woods, let's say, for instance, context. I walk into the woods and I hear certain birds calling. I hear other birds quiet up. That tells me a lot about myself. I can learn a lot from myself just being in the woods.
Yeah.
You know, if I create a hall of silence, there's a chance that my energy is pushing away everything around me. Things that are sensitive to that, like birds and small creatures that have to worry about their safety, for sure. Humans, they're not as sensitive to that stuff, but some people are. So getting back to the bird language, I learned bird language from a number of people. My teachers learned from a number of people, but the biggest teacher is the woods.
Yeah.
You go out there, open your perception, and just be aware of the things that are around you. Smell the breeze. What do you smell? Is it springtime? You can tell because of the poplars. They'll start to release resin in the sunlight, and you'll be able to smell that with the resin that's from the cedars. All these things will let you know what season it is. You know, there's so many elements that we get stuck in these ideas of modern life that cut out these elements of our life, that allow us to open up and evolve. And I believe anyway, if you get into that perception of awareness where, let's say I'm dialing in constantly to the distance of my face and the mic. So I'm constantly thinking about that. Even just something as simple as that is training me to understand the distance between my chair and that fucking piece of wood back there. It's beautiful. You know, like little things. We can constantly build on these. And it's just another way of training these things.
It's interesting that David Suzuki would talk about this sort of thing. And he says that the best teacher for children, a small manual of the plants in the backyard, and go outside and actually go into the wilderness.
Yeah.
Learn more than even being at school, just by digging up the rocks, looking at the different types of insects.
The five senses. So you're getting oxygen from the trees.
Oh, yeah.
You're getting the music of the birds.
And the trees rubbing against each other in the wind.
Yeah, and
all the noises.
creaks. And then you're getting the sights of no straight lines and curvatures and textures and colors.
Yeah.
And you're getting the grounding of the forest from just being out in it, and the terpenes from the smells.
Oh man, there's so many levels of things that our body and our biology is communicating with when we go to the woods.
It's almost a plug-in. You're
It's
plugging
literally
back
plugging in.
into your Mother Earth, yourself, your ecosystem, and then you're sensing around you that you're a being in amongst it.
Oh, you can't even deny it. When you're there, you're in it.
Japanese call it forest bathing.
Yeah, we had Dr. Dave Hepburn on recently, and he was speaking about that, and the Japanese have the practice of forest bathing, and he was also in that context talking about the destruction of the rainforest and being concerned about the loss of a lot of these
And a lot of people...
Oh yeah, that's a big problem.
plants that have healing properties that we don't even know about yet.
Oh, and it's like, it's not just plants. You know, we often think about we walk around, and we look at all these like ground cover, we look at the trees, and we think like that's it. But there's this, if anybody has been listening to Paul Stamets for the last decade and a half, he has been producing some amazing data and studies.
For our audience that may not know who that is, could you give me a little bit of...
Yeah, so Paul Stamets is, I would say, the leading... Some people may argue that's fine, but I think he's the lead mycologist on the planet right now. He's going out of his way to just fucking pioneer the future. He's realizing the connection between all the plants and all the trees and us and everything.
Mycology is the study of fungus, I believe.
Correct. Sorry. Yes. It's funny that this kind of thing happens. You get used to speaking a certain way around certain people. We all have a kind of a common language that we use. Like in fencing, me stabbing this angle, this angle, this angle is completely different than if I'm in a FMA system like P. Kitty Tertia and I'm stabbing this angle, this angle, this angle. It's a whole new language I'm using to describe the exact same movement.
Yep. Different.
So just so you know, Darcy isn't a psychopath wandering the streets here, the capital city of British Columbia.
Yeah, right.
He's actually a trained martial artist. I think we started at Ninja. What other stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Did you get
Okay,
into?
I got to get back to that.
Yeah,
My bad.
sorry.
So you guys, we
often drift off here.
Yeah, and I'm notorious for that.
That's okay.
I just create this vessel of information.
But please, can we just hit them quickly? And
So, I'll dive right into
then we're
that.
going to get into how you survive out there, man.
Well, that's the exciting stuff that we're going to deal with, is saving people's lives with information.
So your martial arts training is what?
Right here.
Yeah.
See this live edge.
Nice piece of cedar.
All right, you guys see that right there?
Yeah.
Can you bring that up a little bit?
That's the small bark, the internal bark.
That's right. So this is our inner.
Yeah, you can pull it out there.
Give me a mic. So this is the internal hardwood there.
And this is just one of our rolling trays. So you're going to be able to make fire from a rolling tray.
I could make cordage out of this right here.
Cordage. That's rope, basically.
Yeah, I can make rope out of this piece right here.
How many strips? What's the length of a strip that you can? Is it kind of depending on the size of the wood? You can get a 6-foot strip of that stuff, or
It depends on how thin I roll it.
okay.
Right? If I had to go for distance for something, like let's say I was making a really small Paiute deadfall. Small Paiute deadfall, if you guys don't know what it is, it's a crushing trap.
Where the SAS handbook.
Yeah, that's right. You're going to find it in a lot of survival guides. So it sits here with the trigger. I don't know if you guys can see.
Like a rat trap.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. And the trigger goes into here. This is the trigger stick or bait stick.
Yeah.
And then it comes down and crushes.
I think I've seen that on Rambo Last Blood. Yeah, everything. M18A1 Claymore mines and
It's amazing that what you can do with improvisation, and I think that's one of the biggest things about martial arts that most people forget is it's about adaptation. Let's say you're boxing. You have a very specific set of rules. Now what you do is you study the basics and then you adapt to the very distant frame of the rules. This little framework, you get right to the edge of it. Okay, I can throw this hook, but yeah, I can throw a little bit of an angle and create this shovel hook.
Yep.
But I can't throw an elbow because it's boxing. So I have to stay within this rule set. Now with things like ninjutsu, is it pulls you outside of that box. True ninjutsu has 19 skill sets.
no way.
There's things from
and that's 19. People have 19 different optics in the eye as well.
Well, so the skill. Let me explain. The skill set is it's supposed to be a holistic system in the sense that it covers everything from nutrition when you're in the woods.
Yeah.
All right, because you got to think of these guys like scouts, like Native American scouts. They would have had to gone by foot for up to thousands of kilometers across a country like China to create an invasion. Like before Japan took over China, they sent in all kinds of people, spies of all kinds, to roam the countryside, map out different places, and then bring the information back.
And is ninjutsu a Japanese origin then?
Oh man, we were touching on things that are gonna get me in so much shit.
Well, we don't have
It's a Japanese term.
It's a Japanese term, but there's people that claim all kinds of levels to it.
I think it all started in China, though.
Well,
Originally.
okay.
They were assassins.
Okay,
The debate is on.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ken on this. Okay, so from my understanding, Art of War, Chapter 13, the entire chapter is about spies. He talks about 5 different kinds of spies. And basically he's describing the job of a real ninja. A real ninja has violence. He has use of violence. He has poisons. He has explosives. He has fire. He has
hooks.
Yeah, he's got all kinds of stuff that he can use for violence. But that's such a small section out of his 19 skill sets. Most of his 19 skill sets are fucking bushcraft.
And for the uninitiated,
Well, because you're not getting into the fight if you're not walking there, eating all the herbs on the way.
Man, if you're out there, if me and you are ninjas, and we have to go take over a group of like, let's say 1,000 people, if we get discovered until the point where we have to fight them, we've lost.
Yes. Fighting is last.
Yeah, last resort.
The ninja always wore the black suit with the little eyes out, and it was at night and running on roofs, and it was about.
Well, is that Hollywood bullshit?
Hold on. Here's the thing: if me and let's say we got to get this guy Rick.
Okay.
Rick's totally just made up. Okay, so we got to get this guy Rick.
the dick.
He's a rich guy.
Okay.
Okay, he's got a real nice garden. He loves his garden. Me and you become his landscapers. Okay. So we're not wearing ninja outfits anymore. We're just wearing landscaper outfits.
That's right.
Now we can collect all kinds of data on our target.
Yep.
You know, ninjutsu, like the way I was taught, was a completely different brand of what we see in Hollywood. A very larger picture.
So the 19. Break down the 19 for us.
Can we just clarify? Is that Sun Tzu's Art of War? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
For the uninitiated.
The uninitiated. That's right. Yeah. Sun Tzu is.
And that would be Chinese.
That's right. That's ancient China. That's about 300 AD, 300 BC. So it's older than the Bible. It's a treatise on warfare that realistically doesn't actually have to be warfare. It can be this idea philosophy. It's an idea of life. You know, like one of his chapters, he talks about attacking where his enemy isn't. As a boxer, you know yourself. It's like, I'm not going to keep throwing a right hook on his elbow, right? I'm going to set it up, maybe a hook to the head, then a hook to the body.
Whether or not you're up on high ground, you're in low swampy ground.
Oh, it changes everything.
All of the things that come into the play of it. My greatest version of that is Thomas Cleary. I think he does the best translation of the Art of War. And it's difficult to get these ancient words in the right phrases too. So
yeah, it's important is having a good translation. Like I've read a lot of different books on ninjutsu since I was a kid, and some of them are translations of old scrolls, and it's amazing.
Book of the Five Rings.
Man, I was just listening to Book of Five Rings on audio yesterday. Ooh. It's one that I'll just put on when I'm training.
I saw the original Book of the Five Rings in San Francisco.
Oh, shit.
I'm sorry, we're talking Toki in here?
Toki.
No, this is Miyoto Musashi.
Oh, excuse me.
Boy.
Miromoto Musashi is a...
this is getting heavy.
He's about as badass as it gets, bro.
Yeah, is a warrior that moved to the mountains after over 70 battles to the death, and he was a two-handed samurai warrior.
Yeah,
and he wrote.
You know how happy you are, Darcy, just talking about this. Darcy is not a crazy man.
So he wrote.
He's actually brilliant.
He wrote
and a loving human being.
He wrote this book, the Book of the Five Rings, and the original manuscripts were written by one of his students, and it's like the 1500s. So his armor and all his weaponry and the scrolls were there, and this ties into your practice.
Oh, it's been a huge inspiration. You know, so let me back up because we were talking about martial arts.
Yeah, let's go back to how many different martial arts did you try before you put it all together?
Well, it was, you know,
just for me. I'm a statistician.
I maybe
Taekwondo.
I did a little TKD. I had Taekwondo.
Okay.
I got into a little bit of eskrima with the late Razik.
That's stick fighting, Filipino stick fighting.
Yeah, it's like it's a bladed weapons art from the Philippines.
Yeah.
He taught me just a few times, but it was enough that there were things I never forgot.
Nice.
Ever. And then I was what the fuck was I? I was working as a countertop guy, getting into fist fights regularly.
Because
It's there's assholes in this city and
blue collar assholes.
and I don't mind.
Were you attracting the assholes with like,
I
hey,
liked-
fuck you, buddy?
I like to think that I wasn't.
No, I can't
Yeah.
see.
I don't think I was, but I definitely wouldn't tell. Like nowadays, I'll tell people that I don't want to fight, and
Good.
I'll
Cool.
wish them luck.
And that's the ninjutsu way, really.
Dude, fucking de-escalation is number one.
Yeah.
Bring that right down, because like I'm at a point in my life where I could hurt a group of people so badly, so fast, and so violently it would change their lives.
And what for is
Exactly.
your
And
question.
change your
What
life.
have I done? Let's
Yeah.
say I break these guys.
You've done some prison time.
Let's say I don't even get caught. Let's say I don't even go to jail. Let's say I just break these guys. Now these guys are 4 or 5 people that can't take care of their family. They can't do their jobs in our city. They can't do all the things that we need a good citizen to do.
Sure.
If I can de-escalate the situation and ask him what I can do to help him,
Yep.
and if
And that's what it is. It's people of vibration that are tuning out. They're not tuned into the
No, man.
wildlife. They're not tuned into the forest walk.
Do you have any good stories where you take on some big drunken mutt and he takes you on and you just mock him? You make a monkey out of him? Is it?
Okay. So I used to run a jam spot. Me and some friends rented this spot about 5 nights a week. Got hammered, played our music. I played guitar.
Really?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a great time, and we rented it in a spot here in town, so we could go right from the bar right to our hangout. And once in a while, get into some real nasty fist fights because rock and roll,
Alcohol and rock and roll.
yeah, and late night, and people would show up and they wouldn't want to leave when we want them to leave, or they'd be real nasty to girls that are ours or whatever. And one
Soul
night,
stripper.
yeah, ass hats, right? And so one guy in particular, big fucking dude too, not like tall or anything, just really heavy. Like I don't want to fucking deal with him. But I could tell he was getting kind of aggro, and at one point he said something to me about, I was with my girlfriend and we were in the actual jam room.
Yep.
And he's like, tells her that she should come home with him.
Okay.
And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, dude, just go away. And he's saying, no. He's like, actually, I think that you should ditch this little skinny white boy and you should come home with me. And I'm just like, dude, just fuck off. And he says, you want to fight? And I'm like, so gun ho.
Yeah.
At the time, like,
Well, it raises your senses right away when somebody's challenging you. Yeah. So how do you've obviously learned how to calm that. But
Yeah.
The story is about.
So I take a deep breath. I take a couple deep breaths real quick in through my nose, fill up my belly, fill my lungs, breathe out hard through my mouth. Repeat that 3 times.
Yep.
Adrenaline subsides, and I'm like, okay. So I take off my jacket, and I'm like, do you want to fight or do you want to wrestle? And he says, I want to.
Choices.
Yeah, I'll give you a chance, man. Like,
Yeah.
what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And he says, let's wrestle. I'm like, okay,
Cool.
let's do this. He still tries to fucking stroke me in the head.
Whoa.
So I sneak in.
Maybe he meant professional wrestling.
Well, you know what? This.
Yeah, that's
no,
right. He's like,
No, he was a ninja.
tried
He
to
was
do
a
a street
ninja.
that's right. He was a real ninja.
He used ninja tactics on you.
Yeah,
Fuck,
totally.
Man, the real world doesn't. The real world isn't sport,
Dude,
Darcy.
that's it. Is that there's a difference between being in that box
Yes.
and adapting to the box and adapting to the real world. Lucky
That-
for me, I had a plan.
Good.
So he throws a big right overhand. I
Yep.
scoot under the right overhand. I got right underneath,
Yep.
immediate Gable Grip, pull him down. He slides his arm out. I go into a clinch.
Yeah.
Pull him right in, pinch my elbows together, tuck his chin off to his right, or off to his
Yeah.
right, off to my left, and then I bring it down to my waist.
And immediately he starts trying to scream like this for help.
Nice.
So I trip him on the ground and I grind my knee into his chest, make
Yeah.
sure he taps hard. And he lets go, and I'm like, yeah, you good, man? You good? Gets up, he's kind of cursing a bit, and he's like, okay. He's like, let's do this for real.
Oh, so now that the wrestling loss was like, I'm stepping up to the plate now.
Dude, it was something else, man. It was really funny. So I did the same thing.
Yeah.
He threw a big right overhand. I did the exact same thing to him. This time I didn't let him go. I waited till his ears got nice and purple.
Nice.
And then I let him go. And you know what he tried to do? he tried to fucking pay me after that to train him.
There you go.
I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, I'm not giving you anything.
No
man.
time of day.
I was like, you need to go to counseling.
Yeah.
I was like, you need to pick fights in soundproof studios with tattooed guys.
Yeah.
Like, be smart, man. You know, and yeah, we had a small conversation after, and I kicked him out, and that was that.
Cool.
But yeah, that studio brought all kinds of riffraff. It was quite the.
Can you clarify
Yeah.
for the listener what a Gable Grip would be? So you're going is it over? Okay,
It's like
with
a
the
little
hands,
hug.
the hands. You're
a
hugging.
little
Sneak
hug
over
that
the-
is
If people aren't watching, they're listening. So you're hugging
So-
your hands together,
Okay, you guys.
palm to palm.
We're gonna go palm to palm, fingers across, almost creating like a heart shape, or you could call it. Some people call it a dove.
Yes.
We're gonna pinch that together.
It's just a really strong grip.
That's right. And the thing about this grip is I can change directions, I can change sides quite fast without getting caught up like I would if I had my fingers interlocked.
And you want to get did you say you got an over-under? So you're
Yeah.
over the shoulder and then under the other arm on the other side.
Just going over top of his right arm, and then I'm reaching with my right arm over top of his neck.
Right.
Gable gripping right in the
Catching
back
one
there.
arm in
And that's just a-
one arm out.
That's
Yeah.
a real good form of control.
And then the change in the Gable grip is based on a defense. So if the defense is there, then the change happens.
I was changing my game, so I get Gable grip.
Yep.
Hands go together behind the neck, and I really reef hard so the back of the back of his neck is hit hard with the back of my forearm to bring his head down, and then right from my Gable grip, I slide my hands to the back of his head into a Muay Thai plum.
Yep.
Right there, and that's when I actually get the scoop, and then I can crush his two arteries on the side of his neck with my
Yep.
elbows, and then bring my
Okay, so the
elbows down to
side
his chest.
side of the neck is now getting choked.
Got to. You want to like with a good Thai grip especially for what I wanted to do to him.
Yep.
I needed to have that kind of control. He was fucking huge.
Mm-hmm.
Like at one point, I remember he was explaining his waist, and it was bigger than. I'm not a big guy,
Yep.
but I couldn't touch my fingers around
Yes.
him. Like he was enormous compared to me. So going for that head control was paramount. I need to stack the
You were
cake.
protecting your girlfriend. Like this guy was going to take your
100%.
fucking girlfriend.
He wanted to caveman me. That was the funniest part. It's like, I'm gonna fucking hit you in the head and take off with your girl.
Yeah.
I was just like, no, man, not happening.
So the skill set, being a ninja, it does definitely has worked in your life.
Well, yeah, because you know what I did was I studied the skill set of ninjutsu, but I replaced the Tai Jitsu stuff that's made for battle with armor and spears and swords.
Yeah.
I replaced it with things like Muay Thai. I replaced it with things like Judo.
We're getting to Kenny's answers.
Yeah, I told you we would. There's a vessel, right?
Going deep.
A little bit of like, I went to Thailand and I trained under Crew O, who
Yep.
is world-renowned Muay Baran and Krabi Karbong. Krabi Karbong is a weapons art that is enormous. It's the Thai weapon art.
For example, what did they use?
They used, Krabi Karbong is often seen as a stick sword. So it's quite a long handle with a very long blade on it, and there's two of them. And they're used very similar to what you would see in FMA and Filipino martial arts. And
So it's this culture too. So there's dances and practice that's been evolved down from their beginning.
oh yeah, Crew has been taught for his whole life. Muay Baran, Muay Thai, and Krabi Karbong. And Muay Baran is what a lot of us would have seen in Ong Bak.
Oh, the movie Ong Bak.
That's
yes.
right. Like it's a lot of like the kind of clinching, elbowing, kneeing, throwing with some really low stuff near groundwork.
Okay.
I think that there is. Let me back up. So I've done a lot of martial arts, but I feel like I've done one martial art the whole fucking time.
I just gotta.
Which is
fighting.
Yeah.
It's
Doing.
just
Adapting.
doing, not trying.
Betterment in your practice, and then becoming an artist that is just adding repertoire on a daily basis.
Well, there's so much out there. It's like I said, I did some taekwondo, I did some karate, I did some judo, I did some eskrima, I did some really old judo, like stuff they'd call like Takagi Yoshin. It's like old samurai judo.
Is this all body, or is this body, mind, and spirit?
It's all connected if you're doing it properly.
But are some of the arts more spiritual?
They all are from the right person.
Yeah.
Like you can go take Muay Thai from one person, it's completely sport based. You go to another guy and you're going to get blessed by monks.
Wow.
It's like, and that's a sport art.
Yep.
Right? That's not a war art.
So taking on different coaches, different arenas, different topography, and
different countries.
Different countries. So this is the well-balanced martial artist.
I believe that we need. Well, if we want to learn a holistic system, we have to train it holistically, whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
We need to really unpack it and the facets that we want to cover throughout the whole thing. So, like, we were talking earlier about last one standing strategy.
Yep.
Last one standing strategy is a culmination of what I call the 5 pillars of survival. So 5 pillars are food, fire, water, shelter, and security.
Fire for your cannabis.
It's yeah, bro.
So what I was challenging you today is I got this doobie I've been wanting to light this whole time, and I do not want to support the oil barons. I do not want to draw this fine cannabis herb from a lighter.
Yeah, well.
So what do we got here? What are we going to do here? Let's check it out.
We can do that.
So you got your knife out. This is your one of your tools of the trade of having survival in a knife, because now you can make fire. What's the stick there that you have?
So this knife represents, to an average man, maybe 30 tools.
Yep, 30.
There's so many things that can happen with this.
Okay.
It all depends on, again, your adaptability and awareness.
Yep.
Like, do you have the awareness to know how to use it to cut certain ways for certain things?
Okay.
And through time and practice, you get to learn these things. It's like we were talking earlier about dirt time to learn bird language.
Mm-hmm.
Dirt time's everything. Think of a guy who has sparred 1,000 times compared to a guy who's done 10,000 times of boxing.
Yep.
It's not the same. He doesn't have the experience.
Yep.
And that's going to lessen his understanding of the idea. Like, we can be taught so much through books and YouTube and whoever, but until we do it.
So practice.
Gotta practice.
Practicing and actually
Every time,
doing
man.
and not trying. We just had a beautiful song on actually today that was all on trying. And as I can see, you're a practicer of doing.
Yeah, man, I am obsessed with doing.
Oh wow! So this has got the resins of the tree right in it.
Oh yeah. This is amazing stuff.
What is this one?
So this is from an ancient hemlock tree.
Hemlock.
Ancient, gigantic stump that I found one winter, like just fucking massive, maybe 10 feet across.
Mm-hmm.
This ancient stump, and I've been kind of, you could say, hunting and harvesting this kind of fat wood for years, so I know what to look for no matter what season. I like know what to look for.
High in sugar, high in sap content. What's the deal with this one?
This is really strong in sap. So what's happened here is this tree was not cut, and it was not burned. This is a tree that came down naturally, and as it came down, gravity pulled down the liquid, pulled down everything that was in it, whether it be sap or water. Everything got drawn down into the base of the tree over time, and eventually the tree eroded away, and what was left were these sharp points that look like tops of castle almost.
Yep.
On a big stump. And you go over and I checked them. I could feel there's some strength in it. I shaved off some. Underneath I could smell this. So I dig down like 3 feet with a stick that I sharpened that was hardwood. And then I had my saw, and I saw off this piece that's as big as my leg that was from a tree that was, it was one of the biggest trees I've ever seen in my life when it was alive. Anyway, So there's a way of getting this fat wood to light with a striker.
Yep.
And fair seam rod. Striker being the back of my knife.
Okay. And you got some magnesium there.
No, it's got some magnesium in it, but the fair seam itself is a bit of a mix of things.
Wow. Fire. Here on the studio, we needed a doobie lit, and this is just part of lighting your doobie, but really, when you have fire in the woods, you have survival, you have life, you have warmth. In this cold coast, if you don't have fire, you're not going to make it. So this is what everybody should be able to do, is make fire without an oil baron's tool.
Nice work. Can we get a round of applause here?
So, the school that I'm from, this would be day one material. And this can be a hard one for a lot of people.
Yep.
Just learning how to operate this gear that way.
Has anybody from the special forces or anything ever contacted you and said, hey, can you help our guys just survive out there? And if they were to think out of the box and just take some of your elements into their training to better themselves, has that ever occurred?
Honestly, I don't think I'm on the map enough or anything like that.
Okay. 'Cause I know some martial artists get that contact and they get to work with Israelis and Filipinos. And if they're,
I did teach improvised field expedient weapons to the Philippines.
Cool.
Some Filipino dudes.
Cool.
Just about, what was it, in November?
Nice.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Taught them, did another workshop on storm survival. It was really good.
Perfect. And this gets us to our call here, right? So basically, we're going to go on to your loss strategy survival stuff. So we can talk about firewood and water now. So that's a good lead into that.
Well, and that's one of the 19 ninjutsu training, simple training techniques would be the fire.
Oh man, fire is fucking huge. Here let's look at fire. Just look at a couple scenarios. Again, we're ninjas. Right, we have a town of maybe 10,000 people that, let's say, we have to sneak in a way that it doesn't matter if we are seen. Mm-hmm. And by sneak, I mean we can create. We use fire to create a diversion. So that'd be that'd be a way of being seen, right? Yeah, smoke or just damage in general. We can use fire so many ways. Like people talk about smoking. Thank you. Smoking out a rabbit from a hole.
Yeah,
it's the same kind of thing. We can smoke people out in different ways.
Well, I think that by using the fire in this context, we're going to save lives of food, heat. And warmth. So, even as a child getting lost in these on the island here, if they've got the ability to be able to start fire, they're going to be okay. So, teaching our children how to protect themselves with edibles from the forest. I'm talking about wild edibles, wild mushrooms that are good for you, wild foods that are good for you, and being able to have these skills of starting a fire.
Oh, it's and the thing is, the reason why I totally agree, and the reason why I teach and train this 5 pillars of survival idea is because...
What are the 5 pillars?
It's food, fire, water, shelter, and security. Okay. So there's a there's a thing here. It's like, for me, it's ever evolving because I'm always learning. I'm literally reading new books every single day. I'm always I have gigantic stacks of field guides I rip through. I've got Boy Scouts books all the way from the 40s. I've got everything that I could think of that has some sort of...
Ironically, there's 2 Boy Scouts missing right now in Sioux.
Yeah, dude, I just heard about that. I think they're 2 leaders, actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's good. So people are missing... they need skills, and the people looking for them need
I
skills.
don't see navigation on the board. Over
I like
there.
that.
How do you navigate?
It depends.
Is it by stars?
So let me back up. So these 5 pillars of survival change depending on the situation you're in. Okay, so like if for instance, we're the ones that are lost, let's say in the woods, we're lost and it's getting to be this time of year, my survival system is going to be different than if it is when I'm in the Philippines. It's going to be different. My needs are going to be different, right? It's a completely different environment. So we take our food, fire, water, shelter, security, and we change the order depending on the situation.
Yep.
Let's say I'm in Mexico, I just got off the wrong bus in the middle of the night.
System.
You know, I smoked some weed, got on the wrong bus, that happens. I end up in this like nasty little ghetto, and there's like kids running around with guns. You know, I can see it underneath their shirts. And I have to get off the bus, and I have to walk back because the bus doesn't do a loop. So I have to walk back through
Are you
this.
talking about a situation that has happened?
Let's just hypothesize.
Hypothetically.
So I see one of these kids, and my needs at that moment were to not make fire, not make water, none of these things. It was security, and primarily security.
Yep.
So there's a group of kids. I look at them, and I create eye contact, like I would with any like ass hat on the street of Victoria. And I keep eye contact because I can see they're sketchy. And they think I'm weird because I'm wearing a tank top covered in tattoos and I'm white in a neighborhood they've probably never seen a white guy in.
Yep.
And I wait for them to give me the nod. Like, what's up? What's up? And as soon as I did that, I said, what's up? You know, and they all just kind of like, you know, gave me high fives and things like that. It was really chill.
Is it because the conversation starts with the 9 optics from the eye?
We just, you know, we connect with people right away. There's so much body language. Like as soon as somebody walks into a room, within seconds, you know, you can disseminate a ton of information about them and their situation. Some of it's going to be wrong, but if you are smart and really analytical without your own, let's say, predetermined biasism, you can actually see things about this person from the outside.
By their body language and
Tons, right?
Body language but also aura. If you're 40 feet within a person, you're amongst their vibrational vortex. Their aura will reach that that far away. So just by being in the room, we're like dancing in amongst everybody's aura in the room right now, and that is because
I think I've smelt your aura earlier.
Probably, yeah. We're doing some training after. We kept the training for after.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, you know, I feel for those fellows that are lost. I think that the search and rescue guys, they have enough of an idea of whereabouts they are, so I'm feeling like they'll find them. You know.
And the boys have the skills that are needed to be able to survive.
That's what I'm feeling. Like they're going to be able to make fire. They're going to understand how to stay warm. Like even at like really basic survival level in Boy Scouts, they teach you a lot of this kind of stuff.
I took beavers, so that was even younger. I never made it to the Scouts after, but I always loved the fact that we could do wild training. And be out in the woods and make it a few days or catch that rabbit to eat or eat that piece of grass that everybody just looks at. And they don't think it's we can't eat that. What's that?
Well, and even even just stuff like the stuff we would normally kick over in the woods, like a mushroom.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe it just falls off.
So now you learn that it's a chanterelle and it's great and all the restaurants downtown are charging big bucks for it. And so you get your kiddies out there and you go harvest a bunch, and now they're selling mushrooms to heal people and the planet.
Well, and you know that's the thing about mushrooms is like even your basic white button mushroom has the ability to stabilize your blood sugar levels.
That's just huge.
Right? It can lower your cholesterol enough that a doctor will notice. You know, like this fucking mushroom right here. This is a red belted polypore. This is Fomitopus pinicola.
Nice.
This is
so that's Latin name.
Right, yeah. So they use the Latin name to discern things from the common name, because often you'll see things with the same common name or multiple common names
From different areas and different people.
Do you mind holding that one up to the camera there, just so the viewer
I've been having baths with this, Darcy, and it's amazing. Your number one organ, your skin, is drinking in these elements and
World famous baths.
and sort of
man,
the tub talks.
Yeah, I know.
they've been we've been throwing in the wild herbs that you're talking about, all these beautiful wild specimens, and instead of eating it, now your skin is drinking the essence in the bath water.
Well, and there's something that a lot of people often don't think of is you're ingesting through your derma, right? Right. Yep. It's like a active dermal kind of ingestion opposed to a digestion. So it doesn't go through the acids of your stomach.
Yep.
Right. It just gets absorbed right into your body. It's one of the tricks that I learned from Frank years and years and years ago. How to rebuild after hard training in the mountain was using things like our wild foods that are in the woods.
Very good.
Yeah, amazing shit.
Can you tell us a little bit about Frank? Early off air, that you insinuated there was some good stories.
Good teaching.
Yeah. Okay. So it's Frank. Frank's a guy. Frank's a real person.
So everybody needs a mentor or a person to find out these high quality skills. You cannot just learn all by yourself. You can, but it's
you need to learn to learn. I think that's the biggest thing that most people don't have the ability nowadays is they don't go out of their way to study, unless it's like work related.
Yep.
Whether it's some education that's going to get them a new job or more money. They don't work on preserving knowledge for future generations. We talk about what we're passing down to our kids. We're passing down stupid. We're passing on ignorant people that are attached to a system that's dying.
Well, you and I are passing on the tools needed to change that.
I agree. I think that there's definitely a bunch of us that are, proactive as much as we can.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's exactly all we can
do. So
do.
Frank was one of these people.
Holy fuck, man. This guy just totally... I wish I could get him online.
Cool.
I wish he could be in my videos.
What did he teach you that was the most powerful asset?
How to learn.
How to learn.
Yeah. He was is a master of many things, and one of them is study. He has an ability to learn himself and then share that information in ways that is, I don't know, it seems like for the average person it's really hard.
So what would the average person do to understand this concept of learning in each moment, or just taking a breath and analyzing, or getting away from the city, maybe having a forest bath and checking it out? Or what would be the first step for the mass?
I think getting out in the woods is a good one. There's a guy named John Young. John Young runs a school in the States. I think it's the Wilderness and Awareness School in Washington State. He's got some really cool audio online about bird language and things like that and tracking. He says you should go find a spot in the woods, one spot. It's somewhere that's close you can go to just about every day, every season, for 5 minutes to a few hours.
Cool.
And you go to that one spot every single day and you sit there and you just learn to turn off all the shit we've got tied up when we're in the city.
Turn your phone off. Don't dare bring your phone out.
Yeah, don't bring your phone for this. And he calls it the sit spot.
Well, everybody has to have their phone because you got to take an Instagram pic with the thing.
Hashtag that shit.
So they're going to be like, my spot, hashtag.
Yeah,
hashtag you're not going to find it.
Look at me, I'm in the woods.
I'm in the green.
I went to the woods this month.
For an hour.
Yeah, so that we want to say, leave the phone at home. This is it for your ecosystem.
Yeah. The phone's going to pull you. And the thing is that, earlier we were talking about bird language. And so one of the things that happens at the sit spot is you start to notice things. Because you go to the same fucking spot every day. So it becomes like a corner of your house. You notice if there's something going on in the corner of your house. It's just, you see it.
And
Well,
so
that's
the
different.
learning is it's almost like you're sitting in front of a Bob Ross painting, and it's changing through the seasons with the voices, the texture, the colors of the trees, the microorganisms
Everything.
growing, the bacteria, the birds, the flies, and now you become aware of your surroundings.
Oh, yeah. That's like I said earlier, it all comes back to awareness.
That's a good training technique.
It's all about
And
awareness.
It's also cyclical too. So if you do it throughout the seasons and multiple years, you'll see. Oh, yeah, recognize.
Yes.
Oh, that's a signal of the spring coming.
Yes.
That's
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can, like I was saying earlier, about you smell that resin in the tree.
right.
The poplar resin hits that sun, and you smell that. You know that the spring season has really begun. There's a lot of these things that, if you just build that awareness, it's amazing. Like I said, you can build awareness while you're walking around the house, making sure you don't bump into things. You can build awareness all these different ways, and it all overlaps. And that's the reason why I teach the 5 pillars of survival, is because I teach it in a way that these things all overlap. The shelter element. Let's say I'm a homeless guy in Victoria. I'm not going to set up my shelter somewhere where everybody sees me and can kick me or whatever. I'm going to set up somewhere that is somewhere where nobody else wants to go. That way, that gives me that element of security in my shelter. And that's the way you have to look at all these things, this overlapping, this adaptability. So even though I may study making fire in the city with matches, I have to understand the different elements in the woods that are going to allow me to make seasonal fire every year.
Or in the rain.
So what we
Yes.
go through here with another 29 minutes, you're a fascinating speaker, by the way, Darcy. So we've got some things on the board behind us we want to kind of knock off here a little bit. Firewood, survival, shelter, security, food, primitive skills, foraging, and stuff like this. So please, if you'd like to touch upon some of these, and we're going to have you back for a part 2 show too, but if you feel overwhelmed with trying to speak to these things, but
No, not at all. I can yak for days.
yeah, absolutely. But if you want to hit some of these here now,
Sure. So, I went originally, again, I got into the survival thing young as a kid, right? In the Boy Scout thing. One of the first commercials I remember was a Time Life magazine commercial selling books. They were selling these books on different, phenomenon and different mysterious places. And I remember one of the fucking pages was the Aztec calendar, and they're like, in 2012, world's gonna fucking end. And that shit stuck with me.
Yeah.
I was probably like 7 or 8 years old. It was always kind of in the back of my head. I wondered if that was going to happen.
Countdown
So
was
you're
on.
preparing for chaos.
Oh, I was. I totally was. I was like, so I got into that kind of headspace. And so I started going out to the woods a lot. I started learning things. 2012 happened. I was already out in the woods. Everything was cool. I picked some wicked mushrooms. I went home.
So you had prepared for this event, and when it didn't happen, you kept going though. You
Well,
kept
because
your
I wasn't-
education going. You kept challenging yourself and learning.
It was inspired. I took the event more as like
spark.
It was more of like something that inspired.
Yeah.
Because leading up to it, I didn't really think it was going to happen. It was just something that I was telling myself, I really would like to learn a set of skills. And so when I got into foraging, that was a course that I took with an amazing teacher here in Victoria. Her name is Betty Norton. She can find her on Facebook under that name. She teaches, it's like a modern herbalism.
Okay.
And so she's taken a lot of different concepts that she's learned from her long life of herbal medicine, and then she teaches them to groups in a year-long course. It's fucking amazing. Really changed my life. So that takes us to foraging. She was kind of my into that, because I didn't even know where to look. What do you?
Foraging is food security.
Yeah, how do I learn how to secure the food from a book? I'm a city guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, what the fuck? It terrified me going somewhere and eating some grass. So I went to her and I took her course on herbalism, and we did some wild food walks, and she taught me some things, but she taught me how to learn plants. And so I studied with her for a year actively, and then I got connected through another person into mushrooms around the end of that course. So I got into studying mushrooms and harvesting wild mushrooms.
Yep.
Then I got into the medicine side of wild mushrooms and started studying all kinds of crazy shit. I took a workshop, a weekend-long workshop with Paul Stamets, and then kept in touch with him on email for a number of years after, telling him my progress in mushrooms that I was cultivating. And it was such an amazing thing to learn from people that know so much more than you do, whatever the thing is.
Yep.
And that was kind of
like adding tools into your toolbox.
It is, right? It literally is. Like,
and it's all up in here. It's carried with you for life now.
well, that's the thing. The trick is you take less so you can bring back more. You know, like when I travel overseas, I bring like a fanny pack and like a little bag, you know, and I'll be out there for months sometimes.
And you're coming back with some of
4 suitcases.
Well, I learn a lot. It's, you know, it's amazing like how clear your head is when you own less.
Yeah.
Like right now, I think I've got, outside of my martial arts and fitness crap, I've probably got 4 or 5 totes of books. And like a little bit of survival gear.
It's a good practice. But a lot of people's practices now are gain stuff, more stuff.
Well, you know what,
more
man?
toys, grab more stuff.
Your stuff ends up owning you.
Yes.
Blood pressure rises.
Yeah, that's right.
Start taking Adderall.
Well, you need to now you need a certain size of house.
Yeah.
So now you have to have a certain amount of money
house
coming
that
in
stuff.
to house all that shit you don't even need.
Ego.
So what we want to
not worth
do
it.
is drop it all, and
Yeah.
we want to take these skills, add them to our toolbox, and be able to have food security. Actually, feel safe, feel good about who you are, because you know you can walk to the woods and just sort of eat something.
Oh, it changes
Your
everything.
fear goes away.
Yeah. Oh, you're way more relaxed with less. I mean, you know, the thing is, mushrooms. There is some dangerous mushrooms, but if you learn those and you focus on the most common mushrooms that are here wherever you live, for us in the Pacific Northwest, things like the red-belted polypore are plentiful, and you can gain a lot of nutritional knowledge physically and mentally.
You put it in a
from this.
tea? What do you do with this?
So this one, we use this one for a lot of different things. I personally use it for a lot of teas and a lot of oils.
Yep.
The oils I then put into salves. Or I put them into different types of rinses, but usually that goes into a salve, and it's a really good anti-inflammatory.
Yep.
Powerful stuff is in here that can be extracted with hot water or a long sit with oil. If I'm doing oil, it's gonna be sitting chopped up in small pieces that are about tablespoon size for 6 to 8 weeks. If I'm doing water, I'm gonna chop them up about the same size and boil that for about 30 to 40 minutes on low roll boil.
Mm-hmm.
What's important though is when you harvest these guys, you cut them up immediately. Once they've been dried like this and you try to cut them, this is a piece of rock.
Conch.
Yeah, it becomes like a piece of rock. And I mean, and the artist conchs, they don't get as, I don't see any in here.
No.
Oh, dude, this guy's hilarious.
Comedy hour.
The artist conchs are also another one of those ones that are just powerful tools in survival. The other cool thing about an artist conch is you can actually put a coal into it, and it will hold the coal for like fucking 8 hours.
Wow.
So
in a dried one or in a...
well, even this one, like
that
even
one because it's dry, but a wet one?
yeah, fresh
conch.
like it's not alive,
Yeah.
but one that's like fresh off the tree that's dead.
Yep.
So it still has a lot of moisture in it.
Gotcha.
You can put a coal right into the middle of
Yeah,
it.
you find the ones that are kind of weathered a bit or older, and
They'll be, especially with an artist conch, because they'll be really dark on the bottom.
Yeah.
It won't have that fresh white polypore.
Okay.
Polypore is the underside of the conch mushroom that releases the spores. This is one of the best tools to understand when you're out in the wilderness is the food that's there all year round. The food and nutrition that doesn't leave because of seasons.
Yep. Winter time. This is a godsend. Finding one of these guys.
Fucking huge, man. I would make a stew out of this immediately. This would supplement all kinds of nutrition.
In the feeling that you get, you're not going to have a full stomach. It's going to be a different type of taste for people. It's going to be a few different things. Does the body adapt right away to wild foods, or is somebody that's going to the Cineplex and sucking back a few M&Ms and popcorn with imitation butter? What's going to happen to those guys?
Honestly, like people talk about getting gut rot from magic mushrooms.
Okay.
And my theory, I'm no fucking scientist.
Yes. I think you are a little bit.
I use a scientific method
Yes.
as best as a stoner can.
Nice, well done.
I believe that it has something to do with their diet.
I agree.
I think the mushrooms
Well, all these
are
throw
reacting.
ups, all these things when people take ayahuasca or a boga or whatever, right away the first information from the plant is throw up, you dumb shit. You fucking got the M&Ms and the poison still down there, still in the guts.
Oh, it's part of your body.
So once the plant gets you to release that, get that stuff out of you, then the other thoughts start happening. Like with mushrooms, in the world, in the wild, the mushrooms connect the forest. They're spreading elements up to the trees. They're talking to the huckleberries and the deer, and so in our body, I think the same way.
Yeah.
I'm no scientist either, but I'm studying
Farmers. You guys are farmers.
I'm studying the art
Purveyors of the land.
we're
Yeah,
studying
brother.
the art of our own ecosystem and our practices, and the mushroom is a sensitivity. It gives you your senses back because it's reconnecting the conversation with your cells.
With everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think the mushrooms are like definitely like a universal conduit, of information for us back to the land. Like you think about the first time you take magic mushrooms in the woods and what happens, that is us connecting.
Well, I took a little too much. I was composting. I started to compost. It was after a walk through a deep, hairy blackberry bush, and so I was all cut up, and then I was composting.
Now, here's something from National Geo Wild. Tell me about your survival techniques for animals. Are you prepared to... In our part of the country, we got black bears. We don't have grizzlies here, as far as we know. We have cougars. So does any of your training afford you the opportunity to practice or prepare for being attacked by wild animals? And have you trained down in the jungles of the Philippines, in places where you've been? Have you actually looked at their structure? So it's kind of a part A, part B question.
Jaguar.
It's okay. Well, this is going to be a long part A. So
Okay.
for me...
Does one survive?
I've had a lot of moments in the woods with black bears when I lived in Cumberland. Like it was extremely regular. There was a few close interactions.
There's a dump there, too.
I'm giving the hand signal of between me and Kit of about 4 or 5 feet with a mother bear and 2 cubs.
The most dangerous of the bears.
Just the worst situation you could fucking be in.
Give us that story. Give us that
Okay. Well, it's not that It's not that epic.
Okay.
I was me walking my dog.
Yep.
And where I lived was right on the edge of a massive forest. And the little alley behind my place that connected some of the other places around there was called Bear Alley. So there's bears in it all the time.
Their highway.
It totally was. And, every morning I could go down there and track them.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the best places to learn tracking was Cumberland. And so I'm walking my dog, and just as I almost let go of the leash, because I think I was looking at some birds or something like that, or I was listening to something else for a second, so my awareness was somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Dog pulls just as my hand is loose, lunges a few feet, and I run, grab the leash. Dog jumps up, I look up, there's mother bear. And immediately whoa bear. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. Whoa bear. And I'm walking back, pulling my dog, who's now growling and barking. Now, my dog, at the time, was a French bulldog.
Yep.
So tiny little creature, but with the balls bigger than, obviously, a mother bear.
It doesn't know. It just sees.
I'll fight you right now.
Yes.
Right now to the death.
That's what dogs do. They've grown up in the city, and they're not used to the speed of a wild.
No, man, that would have been fucking it. That dog would have been swatted dead in a second.
I'm sorry, where was your knife at this time? One of your many knives?
This one, what I definitely had a knife.
Yeah.
But
Did you feel threatened?
No, she didn't even rear up.
She didn't even rear up.
No, she barely lifted her head. She just kind of laid out a couple low growls,
Yeah.
and she started backing up, and her cubs ran up a tree. But that's the thing. Those kinds of moments happened so many fucking times in my life. Like I can just like string together these countless stories of these moments. They were just what the fuck moments.
But you don't. You built up a no fear from that. And I think that fear is creating that conversation. There's not too many attacks. Animals, especially a bear that eats berries, doesn't really want to have a fight with anybody.
No, and if you give it a way out, I mean, it's like I said, I had a few moments like that with mama bears in Cumberland, and they're all obviously I'm still alive. They're all fine. I did see wolf tracks up there. Like I said, it's an amazing place for tracking.
Wolves are humongous. Timber.
They're big creatures. They're big creatures.
They're actually, people don't realize that 6 of those things, and you better
2.
I'm tossing a few. I'm tossing a few of those suckers. They're not getting me from behind.
So Part B.
Yeah. Okay.
The jungles.
So yeah,
whole different mindset.
You know, my experience with the jungles of the tropics is definitely not as extensive. There's I've had some fun times.
And it might be just a spider or a scorpion.
Dude.
Snakes there, man, everywhere.
Yeah, well,
in
that's
the trees. And they move fast.
So I was in the Philippines in the fall. I was there training Pikiti Tersha. It's my current kind of gem martial art that I'm putting a lot of energy into, and it's a lot of knife and machete stuff.
Okay.
So I was I spent the first 3 quarters of the month in Manila training directly under my teacher with his group every day, and then went to a small island called Siquijor for a 10-day camp.
Siquijor?
It's
tell me more on this island.
It's
And the porn music.
10 times.
So anyway,
porn music.
this was pretty amazing, the experience, because it was set up by a group of the PTTA, which is the Pikiti Tersha Tactical Association.
Yep.
They're one of the biggest contributors to law enforcement and military's training as far as close quarters combat, as far as I know. They're really booming right now, and so they put on this 10-day event where they had 3 classes a day, and it was off the fucking hook. While I was there, I got overwhelmed from being around so many people. Like, even here in the city, I'm not around people all day long. Like, I spend a lot of time in different parks and stuff, just like absorbing, you know, the knowledge from the birds and the sun and the plants and everything that's going on.
You can be definitely tuned into a different vibration.
Yeah, man. And so I ended up taking off from the camp at one point, one night, just to go train on my own or whatever, make some fire, do something.
Yep.
And I found this cave. And so, you know, why not? I like caves, so I go in the cave.
Like a big cave, a doorway opening, or you had to crawl in this little 1 foot hole. Like, I'm going to crawl in this find
Describe the cave.
Yeah, so
Well, how big was the
It
cave,
was a
bro?
decent sized cave. Like, there could have been a handful of us that hung out in there.
Okay.
I
So
could have
good
slept in there.
shelter, and
It was a great
you're
shelter.
tuning into, like,
And
I
what
could
was in the
survive out
cave?
here.
So there's nothing at the moment. So I just went and I gathered some dry wood that I found that wasn't directly on the ground along the beach. And I had my fire kit with me.
Yep.
So I made a fire, same way as before. And I just hung out and was having a fire. And at some point, when I was making a fucking fire, I went to go reach for this chunk of wood.
Oh boy.
And I nearly put my hand into a scorpion.
Oh, now we're talking about the dangerous stuff.
Okay, so you can see
You can see.
the pieces of wood.
Yep.
Let me get that on the camera.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah,
And then there's a
maybe
scorpion.
Point
Look
that
at that.
towards the camera there,
Yeah.
Kit. And
So this
yeah,
scorpion is
Nasty.
right behind you in a cave, nowhere near hospital help.
No,
this is
no.
survival.
Dude, okay, let me explain. Like, Siquijor, you have to take like a 2-hour boat from Demigadi, and then Demigadi you have to take a couple-hour flight from Manila. Like, there's no hospitals anywhere near you. You are fucking fucked.
I love the names. Thank you.
And there was a like an epic storm when I was there, so there was no way the boats were coming to pick us up. Yeah, so this is a coconut scorpion,
So
and these things crawl into your ear when you're sleeping.
Oh, jeez. Earwigs.
Yeah,
So,
times 10.
Did you eat it?
Fuck no.
You didn't kill it and
I
eat
killed it right away.
Did you eat it?
No. I broke my golden rule of
Yep.
I always
So it was
eat.
defense. You used the defense rule.
Man, if I eat it, if I kill it, I'll eat it. But
Yeah.
this guy was like, he hit so many of the ticks on serious poisonous scorpions.
Yep.
He's small. He's got small claws, and he's yellow.
How many was in the cave?
Just one.
Are you sure?
Oh yeah, I was.
So you did a search after that.
Well, and I was there I was in that cave off and on for the rest of the week.
No.
Like once I found
Okay,
it.
let's say you had to sleep in the cave.
Would've been fine.
Would you set a barrier at the front? Is there ways of? Are they crawling just on the ground, or they come from the ceiling?
These guys live in like little cracks inside the cave.
Okay.
When I was in
So now you're talking about safety.
100%, man. Security is part of your shelter at all times.
So starting the morning,
So
would
you-
be taking your boots?
No, you'd move out of
dumping
the
your
cave.
boots out.
You were in sandals. It's too hot.
Oh,
So would you move out of the cave though?
okay.
What's that?
Would that be a sign to say, no, maybe this cave is not the
It depends.
ideal?
It depends. If I found a few more, I would have been really worried.
Is there big cats in this?
Not where I was. There was lots of wild dogs, but I got along with all of them.
Yep.
They were all pretty just chill.
Yeah. They just want to join the pack.
Yeah, right?
You come around the corner like, oh, shit. This dog's like, hey, me and this guy could catch a lot of scorpions.
Holy
Big dog.
fuck, man! You should have seen the fucking crabs there. You got this thing called a ghost horned eye land crab
You got crabs when you're in the Philippines?
on Sikihor.
So this is edible.
No, most of the crabs that I found there are poisonous. They're actually it's not like here.
And they're land crabs.
Yeah,
They're
and
not ocean.
No, they sprint like a fucking rabbit, man.
Whoa. So you got more pictures of crabs.
Yeah. Here we go. These creatures are really something.
I like the markings in the back there.
And they run so fast.
Look at that. So this is a where from again exactly?
This is from Sikihor Island in the Philippines.
So if you're seeking horse, you are going to get
Seeking
scorpions
Yeah.
and crabs.
Yeah, exactly.
Warning.
Seahorses.
You might get poisoned and have crabs and
Oh my God.
other.
So
with 5 minutes,
it sounds like a dangerous survival island. That
4
you
minutes
need.
left in the show. 4 minutes.
Yeah, with 4 minutes and 20 seconds left. in the
420.
show.
Ooh,
420.
1620.
Okay, let me just
Immediately goes to the
We're gonna have you
cannabis.
back again, Darcy. Because
Look at this
it
fucking
seems like
thing.
we got lots more to talk about.
What is this?
Well, that's the speed.
Okay, watch him run.
Spider?
No, this is that same crab.
Okay.
Video.
But just sprints.
Gone. Oh, like flying.
Yeah.
Like up on the.
I just saw one of his toes. Yeah, so you guys, it was nice to be here.
Well, what would you say to our readership here in survival for their family, their children, and learning the best way to protect themselves in food security and in just feeling confident and good about self so that you can make practical decisions?
Awareness. Train your awareness. It's the fastest skill that you will actually develop. Most other skills that you're going to be working on, you may never ever use, like a really highly coordinated gun disarming drill. You may never have a man pointing a rifle in your face, and you may. But you're always going to have to move out of the way of people walking in the street. You're always going to have to avoid all kinds of things that you could have if you'd been more aware.
Yeah.
So just be aware throughout your day, whether it be washing your dishes, rolling a joint, making a fucking sandwich. Just be aware of all the little details of all the things, and it just allows you to train it in a way that when the real situation occurs, you'll be able to utilize the skills properly at the right time anyway.
The nice thing about attention to detail is that it takes your mind off the worry of the day.
yeah.
If you're walking around, look at the architect and look at the pigeons up there and this shady character come, it takes away your worry about your paying the rent or whatever, all these weird things, girlfriend problems or whatever you're having, boyfriend problems, So because you're paying attention to detail, you're taking it all in.
Yeah, I think that's important to know, right? Like a lot of people don't realize that when you hear people that say martial arts saved their life, it's usually because it gives them that thing to think about throughout their week.
Wow.
You know.
Well, with a minute left to go here, I got to tell you my spider story. There's in Afghanistan. A lot of my friends went to Afghanistan to fight Taliban and stuff. I'm very proud of those guys and gals. And they got something called a camel spider.
Oh fuck!
Fucking thing's huge.
Yeah,
it
I know.
Jumps up on top of a camel. One time the camel and spider, and they rip along at 20, 30 kilometers an hour.
Yeah,
like
they
moving
sprint.
fast. They sprint.
They sprint.
And they're massive. And they went inside the tent, and the guys just cleared the fuck out of there, man, and screaming.
They'll
'cause
fucking
they jump.
They'll dig a hole in you while you're sleeping.
Yep.
Fill it full of fucking eggs and then cover it up. There's all kinds of videos online of it. Just nastiest shit you've ever
You ever seen the honey badger?
Oh yeah.
Fuck the honey badger.
With 1 minute left, that practice that you talked about earlier of just finding a spot in your local area.
Yeah. So your sit spot.
Yeah, that's probably a good first kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think your first lesson in awareness would be find that spot. It doesn't have to be deep in the woods. It can be in your backyard. It could be in a window that overlooks an alley that has lots of creatures. These little creatures like birds or raccoons or random deer in Oak Bay are all going to teach you a lot about a deeper series of wilderness, but also urban awareness skills.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Well done.
You've been listening and watching, and maybe you're reading it for the hearing impaired, the 1620 podcasts here at the High Noon Show. Your producer is Robin Unger, your director, Jeremiah Armstrong, your executive producer, Kit Warren.
I'm really thankful
I'm
that you
Ken
touched
Hollywood
in on
Himes. I touched what?
You touched in on the readership, and this is what we've been talking about.
Absolutely.
Our hearing impaired and our blind are part of the community, as is everyone.
Absolutely.
for sure.
And you're a community man, Commish. But thank you very much for being on the show. You're a fascinating man. Like, we could sit here for hours and hours and do this. We want to have you back on the show again soon if you'd like to, and start hitting those other things on how to get food and primitive skills and all those other skill sets that are